What are you holding on to that's holding you back? Write in the comments what you think about this. Enjoy the show. Story 1. My cousin that is also my oldest friend. He's the type of guy that follow Andrew Tate and share most of his opinions. Wouldn't be a problem if he wasn't telling me whenever he can how I am not a man, as I do not provide for my family. I'm at school studying. And other things as hurtful as this. Also, my family is my girlfriend that works. I have student loans. Story 2. Lately, it's my relationship with my parents. I know I'm far from what they expected, but their lack of emotional maturity is taking its toll on our relationship. I can't cut them off. I don't want to either, which doesn't mean that it's not draining. I love them both to bits, but damn, I'm on my wit's end ATM. Story 3. Currently working on a project car that's been sitting for 5 years. Started seriously trying to get it back on the road last June, and it's been taking up most of my free time and a lot of coin. I should give it up, but I've come too far. I'm about a few weeks away from it running and about a month from it being roadworthy. I'm going to spend a weekend driving through the mountains of New England when it's finished, bouncing from cute little coffee shop to coffee shop. Cannot wait. Story 4. Experiences where I was not taken seriously when I was severely in need of assistance. I don't know, when you teach someone as a child that there isn't help out there, not even if you go out on your own to find it, with enough frequency or in response to enough situations, it makes for a really difficult mental barrier to overcome, especially when it's backed up by adult experiences, no matter how small or infrequent. Sorry, there's no help out there for you. Die quietly, please. Story 5. My family. I spent 20 years being shit on, made the black sheep because I was an asshole teen who grew up and preferred working-class jobs to college. Then I became disabled and was expected to put my health on the line for their happiness. My house burned down and we lived in a hotel for months, and then a rental for months. They didn't offer help and stopped by for a 5-minute visit for Christmas at the hotel. I finally put up boundaries and they essentially disowned me, which is cool. I'm in my late 30s now and decided no contact is needed. I still want to reach out on birthdays and such, but they don't for me. They refuse to apologize for anything, and that was the last I heard. I'm getting therapy, but I can't let go. You spend so long trying to be good enough that it becomes a habit that's hard to break. Story 6. My mom died when I was 13, and I feel like it has impacted my life in every aspect. It changed who I was, my personality, how I interact with people, how I see the world. I'm a mother now myself, and I still feel sad about it every single day and wish she was here. Sometimes I wish I could just erase the fact I ever knew her or loved her from my mind. The never-ending grief is too painful. Story 7. Anxiety. I so desperately want to leave customer service for good. In the role I have now, I don't have to do it as frequently, but a lot of my colleagues and even my 2 bosses rely on me. So it makes me scared to leave because I feel like I'd be letting everyone down. Also, scared I'd leave my current job for another and then it would be a shitty environment or I'd get fired and regret leaving. Story 8. I started a nonprofit as a side job, where I've lost more money than I've earned, and it's actually compromising my full-time job and relationships with my family. Every time I try to walk away, some crisis happens and I just can't. I don't know why I can't let go, but it is going to ruin my future. Story 9. I hadn't talked to my ex in 8 years. I moved on and grew up. I made huge changes in myself that I'm actually happy, secure, and confident, which was the exact opposite when we were dating as teens. During that time, she got married, but this year confessed feelings for me and told me she still loves me. My first thought was delusion and desperation to get out of her marriage because she doesn't love him, and she's told me so. It was so easy to live without her, but now that I know all this, it has become very hard. I know her, she hasn't changed, and will be with him until she dies or has a child, no doubt. It's wreaked havoc on my late-night thoughts and also the friendship I still had with her sister. I lost a good friend over it, and I didn't even initiate anything with her and actually shut her down after she started talking to me this way, as I view it as cheating. Her sister didn't want to get involved, and I wanted to talk to her in order to make sure that my ex was taken care of, as I knew she was very vulnerable at the time. It hurts me bad, and it's a regression in my own health, as now I can't let it go. I never saw her in public, maybe because my brain blocked her out, but now every time I go back to my hometown, I see her driving. I see her at the bar with her friends. I see her when I'm out grocery shopping. I wish her the best life she could live, and I hope it gets better for her. But now all I think about is how I would do it, and it's not right. Story 10. Childhood trauma. Me and my little sister were in the foster care system for almost 2 YRs. I was 5 when it started, she was 3. I remember the first visitation with my father. He told me, "It's your job to protect your sister. You're the man of this family now." I couldn't protect her or myself from what was happening. This was in the early 90s. The Division of Family Services brought my father into their office with police protection in the room, and told him what had happened to my sister. He lost it and started assaulting everyone in the room with him. The county and DFS told him they'd give him sole custody of us and forget about the assault on several people, including officers if it was brushed under the rug. He chose to go that route and get us back. It led to depression that I was diagnosed with when I was 7. For 15 plus years, I never told anyone what happened to me. I didn't want to take any attention away from what happened to my sister. I'm in my mid-30s now, and it still affects me. I've struggled with addiction issues on and off since I was 15. Story 11. Being sent to the mental hospital 3 times gave me lots of trauma. Cannot go to sleep without constant nightmares of patients screaming, staff arguing, fights being broke out. I still remember the smell and the chill air inside the building. I was only a 15-year-old female who was 5'1", constantly paranoid that I wouldn't be able to throw another patient off me if it came to that. Story 12, no longer holding on to. But my ex-boyfriend. We met on Facebook. He was using an Alfred Jones account, and I was, and still am, using my OC account, Rosette Isabel Bonifoy. The Hitalia fandom was big at the time. Tons of accounts to interact and role-play with on Facebook. Once that died down, my ex and I decided to keep talking as normal friends. Eventually, 3 years later, I fall in love with him. Despite him being in Alabama and me in NY, we did date too. Then we broke up, stayed friends, got back together, and he broke up with me because it wasn't going to work. And at our 5 years of talking go completely silent. He's got a new girlfriend, and every time I tried talking to him, he'd see it but never reply. Hell, when I told him that I just couldn't keep interacting with him because he clearly didn't have time or interest in me, he saw it and never replied. That was a relief there. However, I just remember that it still kind of affects me. I'm trying Bumble RN, and I am talking to this guy I like, but I'm just afraid to actually ask him out because I was completely abandoned without a sole reason besides our relationship ending. I just don't want that to happen again. Story 13. My family. My dad died when I was a teenager. Mom kicked me out. My boyfriend's now husband family took me in. Dad raped me. We confronted Dad, he apologized, and everyone kind of pretended it didn't happen. This was all 20 years ago now. 4 years ago, I started therapy and kind of woke up to reality. I've been refusing to let Dad anywhere near our kids since. Mom and Dad hate me now. It's causing some problems in my marriage as well. Lately, I've been feeling really angry at them, but they are all I have. It sucks to love people who are not safe, and I wish I could let it go. Story 14. Heartbreak. Like real I can't love anyone else heartbreak. The saddest part is that we still hang out occasionally. I still pay for most things when we do too. And we both still look at each other like how we used to. But something in the background of her life is off and I don't know what. I want to be there for her and help her fix it, but I also don't want to find out that in just being used either. Story 15. I quit a job back in April for another that ended up firing me 4th of July weekend. Job number 1 allowed me to live the life I've always wanted, but wasn't paying me what I believed I was worth, and I was struggling mentally and financially at the time and left for what I believed was a financially better job. I was motherfucking wrong. Now I'm unemployed and living the complete opposite lifestyle of what I had at the beginning of the year. We're talking $21 HR to $23 HR to $0 HR. Getting unemployment, though. Upper mid-tier cyclist, lean AF, to pill-popping couch potato within a span of 3 months, chubby AF. I'm trying my best to get back on track, but nothing seems to be catching on, and it's a bummer because I'm much better than what I am right now typing this. So I'm holding on to regret. Story 16. I desperately need to get back on my ADHD, anxiety, and depression medication and get back to therapy so I can be the best person/husband/dad I can be for myself, my wife, and my 2 little girls. But because of the state of our economy and the relatively mediocre pay my wife and I make, I don't do those things so I can save money. Story 17. The rape that happened in 2014 was raped by my friend while I was drunk and sleeping in my own bed. He snuck into my room when he was supposed to crash on the couch after a backyard party at my place. And then the police dismissed my case due to lack of evidence, even though I had a rape kit done and my roommates witnessed against him, but they didn't witness the act of the rape, so they couldn't prove anything. I see him everywhere in my city, and I hate that he lives a normal life and I simply can't let go. Story 18. I had a full scholarship to a D1 university junior year. I was drugged with a massive amount of liquid LSD by my roommate, and she tried to have sex with me and another dude she invited. I lost my ability to learn for a while, and I'm now scared to make new friends from the trauma. I lost my ability to retain information. I questioned my intelligence. I left junior year with only a little bit to go before finishing my degree. I lost everything. I finished my first book 2 years ago and regained my ability to retain information long-term again and to actually understand the material I was reading. I love to learn more than anything in this whole world, and I plan to finish my school, but I'm so scared. Story 19. I'm a bigger gal, size 16/18, and I tend to think way more about my weight than other people probably do. I never think about others people's weights when making friendships or when thinking about dating a guy, but for me, I always wonder if they're looking at my double chin or feel a roll when they hug me. I'm working on losing weight, have already lost almost 20 pounds, but I'm worried the self-consciousness will always be there. Story 20. My family daddy issues. He was a pilot and was never really there, so he shouldn't be talking. My lil bro is worse than me and a manipulative piece of shit that expects everything to be served to him on a silver plate. Even worse, he hangs out with a dude that has used me and beated me down to shreds, mentally. My mom comes from a paranoid mother, arguing parents and a shit ton of rules and opinions that were implied to her daily. She can't get rid of her chains and she is now trying to pass them down to me. Jokes on her, I'm a fucking rebel with a free spirit. When I have the opportunity, I'm getting TF out of there. Oh, Mao. Story 21. For the longest time, alcohol. I've been sober 43 days and I'm so much happier. Yesterday, I went to the bouncy house with my family and went down the huge, steep slide. I haven't had that much fun in years. I also decided to cleanse my address book and social media of people who I don't talk to or repeatedly show they don't care about me. I realized holding on to all of the pseudo-relationships and getting nothing out of them was affecting my self-esteem. Story 22. Like a fair few others here, I'm still holding on to my ex. I frequented the R breakup subreddit recently as my, until recently, partner of 3.5 years split up with me a month and a half ago. And so I've been looking at other people's stories for perspective. And honestly, it's helped me a decent amount. I was somewhat blindsided, but our relationship hadn't been the same for around just over a year. We moved in together 2 years ago, and things slowly faded out. We became very complacent, and I know I personally stopped making an effort both for myself and for her, and realized recently I've been suffering from depression, but been in denial about it, probably for longer than I realize even now. The reason I'm holding on to her is because of the conversations we had when the breakup actually happened. For some more context, due to the lease we still lived together for roughly 3 weeks post-breakup, and I only moved out a little over 3 weeks ago. During the time we lived together, we took the time to talk and reflect on things. I took responsibility for the things I did or didn't do and accounted for my mistakes, as did she. We also discussed the potential to try again once we'd had a lot of time apart to work on ourselves properly, as we hadn't done what she was open to. No promises, but the door isn't closed. We have the same goals, we want the same things, and we get on so amazingly well otherwise, so it felt like a waste for this to end on complacency. But we hit a point where she was too far detached from trying so much and being disappointed by my empty and unfulfilled assurance to get better, that she just couldn't keep going. She's assured me that she still loves me as a person, and regardless of how we go from here, she wants to remain friends. But I've clung to that hope and I need to let it go, despite how fucking hard it is. For 2 big reasons. 1, if there's any hope of us rekindling in the future, it won't happen if I'm stuck in the past and attached to her as we were, or attached to the relationship that's now over. And 2, if I pin all my hopes on that and it doesn't work, I'm just setting myself up for more pain. I'm slowly, very slowly letting go now and focusing on me for me. I just know it'll be a while before I fully put that hope to rest and breathe. Story 23. The hope that my family, which I was raised with, will someday accept me and my choices in life. My choices are to be a normal man, working car production 5 nights a week. They don't like it because I was born a woman, and they think I should have a better job. My job pays average for the area. Plus, I can quantify the amount of things I produce, so I'm not useless or worthless. It's about 500 car grill assemblies a night. My mental health would certainly be a lot better if I could stop caring about it. Story 24. I want to move in with my sister for more opportunities later down the line. She lives in the biggest city in our state, where I've also been offered a handful of internships. But if I left, then my grandparents would have a much harder time taking care of themselves and their property. Both parties, grandparents and sister, have encouraged me to do what I think will make me happiest, and that it won't burden them either way. But it still feels like I'm abandoning my family. Story 25. I heard this quote during a recorded version of a live show, and it has been running through my head since then. The thought of letting go feels like permanently erasing a part of yourself, but that is exactly what is needed in order to grow. I basically spent a decade working at becoming a teacher. I switched careers and I now make more money than I would make if I was still teaching. It's been a year now, but imposter syndrome still hits heavily. And I know that we have a person retiring in 3 years, so I really should focus on getting as much training in as I can to have a shot in replacing him. But that doesn't start until I finally let go. Story 26. Emotional social trauma. Even though it was decades ago and probably meant more as innocent breaking balls, Having people say things like, "oh, poor her," when I expressed liking someone in school. It sounds dumb, I know, but I was always socially awkward anyway. Then having two very, very traumatic experiences in high school. Within the first month or so of high school, having a popular girl claim to be interested in me, only for her to tell everyone about our conversation on the phone, and everyone then mocking me because it was all a setup. The second incident happened when we had our stupid-ass square dancing shit in high school that everyone had. I had no partner because I didn't have many friends. I went to sit down at the only group with any space, and they laughed at me. They all literally laughed at me. So I just got up, walked away, and told the teacher I'm sitting out class. I didn't care about losing credit. For all these reasons, even though I know they sound stupid and petty since I'm in my 40s now, it still deeply hurt me and is the reason I have no idea how to meet and talk to anyone I'm interested in now. I seriously feel like no one could ever really love me or find me attractive after all that. Again, I'm sorry. I know it sounds petty and stupid compared to all the problems people have, but it totally destroyed my romantic life. Story 27. My free time. I've basically only had one day off a week since 2010, all the way through to 2022. At one point, for less than a year, I was getting by working 30 hours across 3 days. Now my schedule has changed to 30 HRs across 6 days, which makes me covet what free time I have even more. And that in turn makes it harder for me to spend my free time dealing with forms and making calls to try and find something more and better, especially because part-time employment seems to be completely screwed nowadays. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it, be sure to write comments, and share your stories.